Hey guys, and welcome to FaithWorks Designs. I'm Faith, and today we're working on a really cool pattern. I can't wait to show you. It's by 4 Girls Designs. They're on Etsy. They have a lot of different patterns on there, and I just happened to be a part of the pattern testing for this bag. And I'm so glad because it is an amazing bag. When you see all of the zippers and the pockets, you're going to want to make this. So let's start off with the front, what I call like the front of the bag. There are 2 slip pockets. And by the way, this fabric is from Kimmy B's custom fabric. There we go. I'll put a link down below, but everybody loves this Alice in Wonderland fabric. And then there is a nice deep zipper that goes all the way down the bag. So it's a very large zipper in the front. On the back of the bag, there's a nice little pocket. I like one like this because you can put like a cell phone in it or something, and it's just a quick, easy access pocket. Then on the other side, there's another zipper, and again, this pocket goes all the way across the bag. So it's a big, huge pocket. Everybody's doing these horizontal zippers. On the inside, we actually have a double zip so that you can get all the way down this bag because you're going to want to see the inside of this bag. So on one side of the bag, which side have we got? We've got some slip pockets with some pins. You can put some pin holders in here. We have some accordion zip pockets. So you've got 2 that are each individual. They're not connected in any way. They're nice and lined. They're really good deep pockets. And then on the inside, on the other side, there are card slots. There are 14 card slots. And there's an option I put on when I'm putting everything together. I show you and tell you how you can add some more. So there's 14 card slots. And behind the card slots, there's a whole nother like slip pocket. If you're one of those people that really like to be organized, it's even been suggested, it's really good for like traveling. If you adjust the pattern a little bit, you can use it for your passports. It's just a really, really neat pattern, and I'm so glad I was able to do it because I have made so many of these. Everybody that sees it is like, I want one. So I would highly recommend this pattern. I will say it is not for beginners. It is not beginner friendly. Maybe if I would watch the video first before you go purchase the pattern and see if it's a skill set that you're ready for. There's a lot of zippers, there's a lot of pockets, there's a lot of folding, there's a lot. It is a great pattern, and that's why you've got so many zippers and so many pockets. So, if you're ready, let's get started. Alright, so to get started, we're going to go ahead and start with the dreaded strap. I don't know why, but once you're finished with the project, if you have to stop and make a strap, it's really annoying. So we're going to go ahead and just get that knocked out of the way. So what I did was I cut a 4-inch strip by a 56-inch strip of my vinyl, and we're going to make it an adjustable strap. That's the size that I normally like to use. And then what I did was I drew a line straight down the middle, and then added my double-sided tape. It'll give you a really clean look when you're done with your strap. I find that when I'm trying to freehand it, it doesn't turn out as well. So what we're going to do is you pull back your tape and then just start folding it in towards that middle line. And you can do one side at a time, but what I like to do is go ahead and do both sides because this is a really long strap. And then what I'll do is every other, I'm going to throw on a clip. And you're just meeting those vinyls up in the middle until you get all the way down your strap. Alright, now that you've got it folded in on itself all the way, what you're going to do is I like to take these clips a little bit back, and then you're going to fold it in on itself again. And use these clips to help hold it together. So I'm just folding it in so that the middle is right there. You may have to take your clips off if they're too long and then put them where they're supposed to go. But you're going to do this all the way down. Alright, so we're trying some new angles. Bear with me, we're figuring them out. Alright, so we're going to have our machine onto a 4 The stitch length needs to be a little longer because it's the handle and it's going to be going through all of this vinyl. And it just looks nicer top stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the side that's open, just so that's closed. It'll be a lot easier to sew the other side. You're going to back stitch as you start as well. And I'm sewing about 1/8 from the edge. Your strap is all done. It's the last thing you got to worry about when you're all finished with your purse. Now let's move on to our purse. Okay, so what I've done is I've grabbed my lining for piece AL. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark an inch up and then an inch on both sides and make my little zipper box. That's just how I like to do it. And it just makes it nicer that way. So you're going to go an inch over here and an inch over here. And then we're going to draw a line. Move it up a half an inch. And draw another line. And you've got your zipper box. Hopefully you can see that right there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to grab piece AL. And let's keep it sideways and be a little bit easier. And you're going to line it up to the top. Ooh, I can't do this with a pin in my hand. You're going to line it up, make sure that it's smack dab in the middle, and then what you can do is you can just clip it in place like that. Make sure everything's even before you go to sew this, okay? Alright, so now set this aside. Now we're going to grab piece BL. So BL is the one that has a zipper going this way. So now what I'm going to do is grab that lining for that and do the exact same thing that I just did on the last one. We're going to mark an inch up, an inch over on each side, and then half an inch up. We're going to make another line so that we have our zipper box. Then we're going to take this piece, and I'm going to have to turn it upside down, and it goes on this side. I think I'm going to bring it all the way to the edge this time. I've been experimenting every time that I make one and make it just a tiny bit different. I know, stick to the pattern, Faye. I swear I have the attention span of a gnat. Okay, so we've got that. Let's put this aside. Is grab your pattern JL. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right sides together. Just go ahead and clip. Right sides together. What we're doing is we're prepping everything so that we can sew it all at one time. And then that way it goes faster. So grab JL, set this aside. Now you grab piece HL. Be careful when you're cutting this out. Make sure that your orientation is right. And then also if you've got something, say you've got like a panel, because I ran into this problem with another purse that I was doing. And I wanted to use the panel smack down in the middle, but you're going to have a seam coming right through here. So when you're cutting this piece out, it needs to be on each side, if that makes sense. Because if you put it down the middle, you're just going to have a seam running straight through it. I also forgot to mention the materials that I'm using. I decided to use waterproof canvas because I do it on everything. And I have an industrial machine and it'll handle it. If you have a regular domestic that doesn't handle waterproof canvas very well, you might want to just use cotton for all of this, maybe the outside and vinyl. But the inside really needs to be a cotton if you've got a domestic, because it's going to get thick when we start working on those card slots. So right side to right side of pattern HL. And then I'm going to turn this around towards me. I'm going to take my ruler and 1.25 inches from the top. I'm going to make a mark on each side. This is going to be where you're going to start sewing on each side, because you're not sewing all the way down the sides and then all the way down around. You're going to be starting at those marks and then sewing around all the way. So I make sure I put marks on both sides. And then you're going to want to clip those. Okay, now take pattern HL and set that aside. Alright, so we're going back to our stack of fabrics that we just worked on prepping, and we're going to grab AL. This is going to be your front of your purse, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, hopefully you can see it, we're going to go ahead and stitch that zipper pocket. When you're done with that, there's a tiny bit of prep work that we need to do before we go to the iron. So the very first thing is right in the middle, we're going to need to do And around all of the round corners, we're going to need to do some clips so that when they fold over, they lay nice and flat. Now make sure that you don't get your stitches, because if you do, you'll have to re-sew everything. So just right where the curves are, you're going to want to make some clips into those. And you're also going to need to grab JL and do the clips around the curved parts of that as well. So like these corners right here, you're going to need to just cut those off on each of the top parts. And then on the round parts, you can just do some clips so that when you turn it inside out, it'll lay nice and flat and it won't look all bubbly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn everything inside out off camera, so because I got a lot to do. But basically you're going to take your zipper pockets and turn those inside out. You're going to turn these inside out, your HL inside out, and lay them as flat as you can so that we're going to iron everything. And this is why I feel like it's best to do all of this prep work at one time, because what I found was I was constantly going to the ironing board and sewing a little bit, going to the ironing board, sewing a little bit, going to the ironing board, and that was just taking up a lot of time. So when I decided to start doing it like this, it really saves me a lot of time because I'm doing all of the ironing at one time instead of constantly getting back up and down. So that's why I like to do it this way. If you want to follow the pattern and do step by step, that is absolutely okay. If this is too much for you at one time, that's fine. Go ahead and turn everything inside out, even your zipper linings. And then we will go to the ironing board and iron all of this down. Alright, so I've got everything turned inside out. Now I am ironing waterproof canvas, so here's the trick. You cannot iron on the shiny side of waterproof canvas. You have to iron on the side that's kind of rougher, that feels more like fabric. I normally just iron it with the waterproof canvas on the bottom, and then I don't have to worry. You can't have it on there but so long or it will melt, and you don't want that. Be really careful with your corners when you're going to iron them. Sometimes I've been having a hard time with this for some reason. I think because it's so close to that rounded part that it kind of wrinkles up right here. So like right down here is going to drive me crazy. It's so close to the edge, and I think that's why it does it. So now we're just going to iron all of our pieces that you've just sewn. Iron those all down. And make sure to get these corners out. And normally what I would do is clip these just to kind of hold, that down, and then we're going to top stitch those in a minute. So go ahead and iron everything down flat. Like I said, I think this will save you a lot more time if you do everything all at once. Alright, now I saved this one so you guys could see what I was doing. So you're going to fold your lining through the front part. And we're kind of upside down here, so sorry about that. Get that part to lay flat. It's just like you would do any other pocket. Get it just right, because this is going to be on the front, and this is where everybody's going to see it. And you want it to be great. Hey guys, just want to interject. I know this video is getting kind of long, but if you like this video so far, you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you want to stick around for some of the cool things that I've got coming up, my hubby bought me a Cricut for Christmas, and so we have been coming up with new ideas of things that I want to do on the channel as far as reverse applique. So if you're interested in that, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my videos. I think there's a bell that you can click too, so it'll let you know when I'm next uploaded. And if you have any questions or comments about this pattern, I know there's probably going to be, just leave them in the comment section down below and I will get to those. I do those daily. So if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section and I will get back to those. Back to the sewing. Okay, now we're grabbing piece AL again, and we're going to grab our zipper tape. And then I'm going to show you guys how I do my zipper tape. Now, if you want to use regular zipper by the yard, that's fine. You just need to get a zipper jig, or you need to learn how to do it with your hands. And a lot of people have a hard time with that, but I want to show you how I do it. What I do is put the left side in, or my left, I should say, in first. Then put the right side in, and try and look at it from the top and make sure that it's even on this side and this side, and then I just push down like that, and if it's even across here, you've done it right. If it's that one side is a little higher than the other side, then you've done it wrong and you need to take it off and do it again. But I've been doing this a while, so it goes really fast. Now, if you're using zipper tape by the yard, you also need to burn the ends if it's nylon. Let's just make sure we do that, because it does unravel a little bit, and you want all this work you're going through, you want it to last. So with our zipper facing the left side of the bag, this is the top part of the bag, our zipper is zipping towards the left. You can put some double-sided tape here just to kind of hold your zipper in place, but I always just kind of hold it where I want it and fight with it for a minute. Alright, make sure that it's right where you want to get it. I would highly suggest double-sided tape, sticky tape. There's all kinds of tape out there for you to get. I get mine from Wizardry Stitchery. They have some really good double-sided tape. They've got 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch tape. Alright, so I've got my zipper right where I want it. And you could be using a zipper foot right now, but I am lazy, so we're going to do this. Now we're just going to we're going to sew all the way around. Stop and move that zipper out of the way. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I sew with a bonded nylon thread. So it's not like regular thread where you can just cut the ends and call it a day. I've got to pull my threads through to the back, and then I cut them, and then I burn them so that they don't come unraveling. So I keep a lighter on hand on the regular, which is kind of weird to me, but it's okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the end of our lining and meet it up with the top of our lining. Now you're not clipping the outside fabric to the lining, you're just clipping the lining to the lining. So the very bottom of the lining to the very top of the lining, and this is going to make our little zipper pouch on the inside. Now you can clip all the way around, but y'all know me. Just clip the important stuff and keep on rolling. I'm going to cut that crooked. Now you're just going to have to pull this stuff out of your way. Okay, now we're going to concentrate on part AL for just a minute, and we're going to finish the front. So you should have a nice enclosed zipper case. Now we're going to set this aside for just a second. Grab piece HL, and now we're going to do the top stitching for this. And what you're going to do is you're going to start right here and go all the way around. You could do an 1/8 of an inch if you'd like. Just kind of take your time, because this is top stitching, so everybody's going to see it. I went ahead and put my stitch length at a 4, because that's what I normally do for top stitching, but it's just up to you, whatever you feel like doing. And then my foot, like right here, is an 1/8 of an inch, so it really does help me guide it so that I get it right, but it's hard to see when you get past a certain point. We're going to go back and we're going to grab piece AL. And these two are going to go together like this. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move this zipper pouch out of the way, because you don't want to accidentally sew this underneath it here. So if you have it all laying flat and you start sewing it and you put a thing down the middle, your zipper pocket on the back is going to have a seam down the middle and you won't be able to use the entire thing. So you're going to need to flip that out of the way and make sure that all of your corners are meeting, and go ahead and just clip all that. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start here, sew all the way around, down, and then back up again to this line. I've still got it at a 4 because this is more or less basting it in place. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the very bottom and we're going to find the middle. And what I like to do is grab my little snips and do just a little cut so that I know where my middle is. And you should be able to see it. I can't see it. You should be able to see it from the front. So you're going to see just like a little clip. And then you're going to sew. If you want to, and you've got an invisible or erasing marker or whatever, you can just take it from this point down until your middle. I just kind of eyeball it because I've done it a million times. Make sure that your zipper pocket is out of the way, just like we did a minute ago. And again, you can keep it at a 4 if you would like. The zipper behind here might get in your way a little bit. It does all the time. But eventually you just kind of get used to it and figure out how to get it out of your way. Alright, so we're going to make sure that we backstitch right here, because you're going to be constantly putting stuff in these pockets and you don't want it to come unsewn. So just a couple of stitches forward, a couple of stitches back. We don't want that coming undone. Alright, so piece AL is basically finished. That's one of your outsides. So yay. I don't know why, but it's just, I'm a list person, and when I get to check something off, it makes me really happy. So one of your front panels is completely done. Now we're going to grab panel BL. Now we've got our top, and I've got it facing me so that the zipper can be on this side. I'm left-handed, so I do things a little differently. Sorry. Most people would probably turn it around. So I want you to look at my zipper real close. So the head of the zipper, when it is zipping up, when it goes up like that, is going to the top of the purse. If you were to put it this way, it would be backwards. So make sure that when you're sewing this in, that you're zipping it up the right way. So you want your zipper to come from the top, from the bottom to the top to close. Okay, now that we're done with this piece, which is BL, we're going to grab JL. Now sometimes what I would do is I would do like a little stitch across the top just to kind of make it more like a pocket. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But I just do like, I don't know, a ½ inch or so from the top. This is not in the directions. This is just me doing me. Once you've got that done, you should have your open side. It'd be a really good idea to put a clip or something there so that you remember which side is your open side. Now, same thing that we did with the last side, we're going to have to make sure this zipper lining is out of your way. So we're going to just do like that. Now, if you're using regular cotton, you can just pin away and make sure that it's centered and it looks good right where you want it to go. I kind of eyeball it, and you see why I said that your rounded corners are going to be really important, because you're gonna really see this. So just make sure that everything's kind of lined up where you wanted it. Make sure you sew it good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Make sure that you do not sew up here because this is a pocket. You want to be able to actually get into it. I am still at a 4. Make sure that you backstitch really, really well up here because, again, it's a pocket. It's going to be used a lot. And your top stitching is really important as well because this is really going to show up like a sore thumb if you don't do a good job. So just take your time. Use your foot as a guide. Just take your time around those corners. So now piece BL is all done. So you've got your front and your back all ready to go sew. And this is why I like doing it this way. It makes everything just go so much faster when you've got all of the pieces prepped and ironed and sewn and all of that. It just, it hasn't been that long. And we got the front and the back all done. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to move over to my other desk so I can show you the card slots. We're going to start working on the lining parts. Okay, in my excitement, I completely forgot one of our pieces that we needed to prep. This is pieces FL. You need both, okay, so this is the way that I did it. I did one side cotton and the other side is going to be waterproof canvas just for stability. If you have a domestic machine, use both cotton. Normally when I would do it in my prep with the other stuff we just did, I would go ahead and sew these. So same thing, all we're going to do is sew around and then just leave ourselves an opening spot. And before you turn it, go ahead and clip the edges. Well, or don't. Clip the edges on all 4 sides. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to turn this inside out. And I'm just going to show you one so that I can get back to what I was doing. I would normally do this with all of the other prep work so that it can be ironed all at the same time, but since I forgot, we're going to do it by itself. Remember, these are pieces FL. Now, normally we would take this to the iron and iron it down, but since I forgot, we're just going to do it like this. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this like it is. I'll just kind of press it as I go along. But you're going to want to top stitch this about 1/8 of an inch from the sides. And I've got my settings at a 4 stitch length. Sometimes when we go to do the top stitching, we have to move the clips around so that we can kind of get where we need to go. In doing so, our pockets end up kind of wonky. So what I do is I just take all of my clips off and I start from the very top down to the very bottom and just make sure that everything is lining up the way it's supposed to. Sometimes they can just get a little wonky and it's nothing you've done, it's just they like to walk around. So just clip those in place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew on this side, down across the bottom, and then back up to the other side. We're going to be basting these, so you can do it at a 2.5 or 4, it's up to you. Okay, now that we've got that done, what we're going to have to do is take this to your back to your desk or wherever you have your cutting mat, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find the middle, and you're going to need to stitch a line all the way down the middle. Okay, my camera keeps cutting out on me, it's really annoying. Okay, you've got the middle of your card slot sewn down. Grab one of your lining pieces, and I made a notch in mine in the middle so that I knew exactly where I needed to put my card slots. Then I laid my card slots down and I went ahead and clipped down at the bottom. It's too far away from the sides, so you can't really clip the sides to hold them down. What she has you do here in the pattern is create like a little either piece of ribbon or a fabric and put it right here. I'm going to show you another way to do this so that it looks just a little bit nicer, but first what we're going to do is I'm going to start here, sew all the way down, around, and up the other side just to kind of base it in place so it's not moving around for the next step. This is also the place that I was talking about. If you have a domestic and you're trying to do this bag and you decide that you want to do your card slots in waterproof canvas, it's going to be really, really thick. Now, I have an industrial, so it'll sew right through this stuff. But if you don't have an industrial, it's going to be really, really hard to do it. So just keep that in mind when you're picking out your materials. It's mostly just right here. It's just really, really thick to sew through, and I'm getting ready to add another layer, so hang on. Okay, so if you've ever done an H2O to go, you'll know where I'm going with this. I got that inspiration while I was working on this because I didn't like the little strip. So what I did was I got myself a piece of 2 inches of the waterproof canvas. Again, if you're working with cotton, just get yourself a piece of cotton fabric. And then what I'm going to do is just lay it right side to right side, and at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you're going to sew all the way down. Okay, so I didn't cut mine to a certain size. I figured I'd just wait until I've done sewing. So just turn it from the back and just cut straight across there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to flip it over, and it should go all the way across. If you've done your seam allowances right and you sewed your seam allowances right, it should go all the way across. If you want to, you can make it 2 1/4 just to make sure that you have some extra. Ugh, mine is barely reaching. I think I did a 1/4 inch all the way down. And then you're going to top stitch that in place. Okay, now do the same exact thing for the other side. Okay, so now you're saying, but Faith, I don't have my rounded corners. Well, guess what? We're going to turn it over and we're going to round those out just like that, so you still have your rounded corners. I just like the look of this from the front. It looks really nice. Just having it just looks cleaner that way. So now this side of your lining is straight. We're going to go grab our slip pocket pieces. Got my slip pocket pieces. I've got right sides to right sides. We're going to sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that you've sewn that, what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. Fold it over, and you can go to the pressing and press this if you want, or you can just finger press it. Waterproof canvas is pretty easy to like finger press and get it where you want it. And then you're just going to top stitch across there. Okay, now grab your other lining piece and you're going to lay that right on top. Make sure that both sides match up. My little pocket piece is really short because I made it a little shorter on this one. So your lining piece should come up a little bit higher. But I made this one a little shorter for a particular reason. Okay, now we're going to base stitch all the way around. And you don't want that coming undone. Now in the pattern she uses several different measurements to do your pin slots. And I asked her, I got thinking about it, this is such a great like travel purse. What about doing it like a passport purse, using these two pockets as a passport pocket? And she said it might work. Now I don't have two passports to put in here right now to see if that would work, but when you're doing the project, if you want to keep that in mind, and then you don't have to do any more slip pockets, you can just make that nice and wide and you can slip two passports in there very easily. I think this would be a great travel bag, and that way you got all of your stuff with you in a bunch of different pockets and stuff. But that's just me. This person that ordered this is wanting pencils, so, or pens slots. So take your pattern and measure out your different pen slots so that you have those where you need them to be. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball my pen slots. We've got our top all done. Now we need to grab our bottom part of our gusset. So I've grabbed our bottom part of our gusset and the top part of our gusset, our zipper part. And what you're going to do is put right sides to right sides. And then on the back, you're going to put the right side to the right side of the back of the zipper. We're just making a big, huge sandwich with our fabrics. You may want to make sure that all across here is even, just in case things slipped around, but you're going to have your right side of your vinyl to the right side of your zipper, and the right side of your lining to the right side of the back of your zipper. What you're going to do is you're going to, at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, is going to sew those two together. Your stitch length needs to be a 2.5. I go across it a couple of times because it's really going to get a lot of wear and tear on that seam. But you don't want to put too many holes through your vinyl, so I just go forward and back. Alright, same thing, make sure everything's facing the same exact way. We're going to put the right side of the vinyl to the right side of the vinyl. And then the right side of your lining to the back side of your zipper. Okay, now what you're going to do is very carefully turn it so that you can get your outside fabric and your inside fabric laying flat. So the outside vinyl is flat and the inside lining is flat, and then you're just going to top stitch right across there. And then I would do the 4 inch so we can kind of keep things all together. All of your top stitching is a 4, and you're going to want to do that on both sides. Don't sew these together, but I'm just kind of coming up right behind it so we don't waste thread. So cut these apart, and then your gusset is all done, and we're just going to set that aside for right now and get to work on the accordion pockets. So your gusset is all done. Okay, so we are on step KL, and I was not picking up what she was putting down. Like, I could not figure it out. So what I ended up doing was I grabbed 2 8-inch zippers. I have 4 2x2, and these are going to be our zipper tabs. Make sure that you use cotton fabric for this. If you try to use like the vinyl or whatever, it's going to be too thick. I do have them interfaced because they were scraps, and that's fine. It's not going to be too thick. On the KL piece, she says to put it on a fold so that you can make that one piece for that one zipper pocket. I couldn't figure it out. So what I did was I cut it out not on the fold. So I just, as the pattern piece is, that's how I cut it out for my shape. So I have 4 of these, and then also 4 of my lining pieces. Again, if you're using a domestic, I would not use waterproof canvas for this step because it is going to get thick. All we're doing is doing 2 separate pouches. So here we go. We're going to grab one of our zippers and 2 of our zipper ends, and you're going to fold that zipper tape or that zipper tab in half, and then you're going to fold it in on itself. Just like you would just make a binding, that's all you're doing. We're going to slip this onto one side of our zipper, and then we're just going to sew across. Stitch length is a 2.5. Grab your other zipper tab, fold it in half, fold it in on itself, put it on the other end of your zipper, and then just sew that down. You're going to do that with the other zipper as well. So this is what it should look like. You've got your opening. Now you're just going to turn that inside out. Okay, so you want to straighten out the outside of your fabric. And where those little zipper tabs are, you want to push those out. Find all of your corners. Push them out. Okay, now we're going to find our opening. And I like to pull the lining, the corners out like that, so I can kind of make sure that this is all straight. Now we're going to close up that lining. So you're just turning the raw edges in, and then we're just going to close this up. Now just cut your threads, and the very next thing you need to do is do it again. Because you're going to have 2 of these. So when you get done cutting all your threads, just go ahead and do that again on your next set. Alright, now that you've got your zipper pockets done, we're going to grab piece FL. And in the pattern there are some places that you can mark the front and the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of those, and on the line you're going to fold them on the line. You can take it and just kind of finger press it if you want. And then we need to make sure that your fabric is oriented the right way. So this is going to be our front. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slip this on. Now if you've done waterproof canvas and you're doing the 2 separate zipper pouches like I am, it is going to get thick with a double C. Like, it's going to get pretty thick. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to sew across here, making sure that you catch this zipper pouch. And I would if you're doing waterproof canvas and all of the layers that I'm doing, go really slowly, because you do not want to break a needle. I am back stitching because I do not want this to come apart. This is a part that's going to be pulled on quite a bit. Okay, now that you've got that done, flip it up, and then you should see the next line. You're going to do exactly what you did before and just kind of fold it, and then just kind of press it with your hands. And then you're going to grab your other zipper pouch. Now I like both of my zippers starting out on the same side. If you want to remember which zipper pouch is which, you could kind of put them opposite of each other. It's just up to you, whatever your little preference is. Make sure you squish down this corner a little bit and then slide it right on in, just like that. Now I like to start on the bottom and work my way up, making sure that both of your pockets on the bottom, everything lines up the way it's supposed to. So you've got tops here, bottom here, and they both line up. And then just sew that on. And I'm kind of smushing it with my hands as I go. But you need to make sure you backstitch, and you need to make sure that you've got all those layers in there, because if you don't, this pocket is just going to pull right on out. And you don't want that after all the work that you just did. Alright, now you're going to do the exact same thing on this side that you did on this side. So I'm going to make sure that everything's facing the right way. So I'm going to find my first notch, and I'm going to fold it like this, and fold it right onto there. You also need to make sure that you're at the same height as this other side so that your things aren't wonky. And you can measure, you can eyeball, just kind of take your hands and press all that stuff out of the way. Open that up so that side's out of your way. And I always like to start from the bottom. I don't know why, it just feels right. Make sure that you backstitch. do not want that coming apart. Oh, and I just ran out of thread. Poop. Okay, so I've got to go make a bobbin. Alright, and we're back. We've got a full bobbin. In case you wanted to know, this is my third bobbin. Alright, so now we're going to find that next line. And we're going to fold down just like we did on the other side. And just kind of press it. And then grab this other side over here. And we're going to attach it on this side. Making sure that we're lining up our ends here. Now this one's always the trickiest because you don't want to sew, you don't want to accidentally have this up here, so you want to kind of push it out of the way. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to cut out all of my threads, and then I'm going to start grabbing some other pieces, and we can start actually putting this all together now. Okay, we're almost there. Yay, we're starting to put it all together. Now, what I've went ahead and done is I've put a little notch up here at the top so that I know where the middle of the top is, and then I have a notch at the bottom for where the bottom of piece, what did I say, AL is? This is piece AL. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my gusset, and on the very top where the zippers are, I've put a notch on each side of the gusset for where the zipper is. And then I kind of lined up like this and put a notch at the bottom so that I know where the middle is. And this one I did not. What in the world, Faith? So you're going to want to put a notch so that you can kind of match this up. And I got this idea of how to do this, lining everything up, from making the Zenea book bag. I have made like a gazillion of those things. And this is how I normally do it, just to kind of keep things all lined up, is putting notches in there. And then matching up the tops and the bottoms. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take piece AL and our outside, like our right side of our vinyl, and we're going to match up these notches. We're just going to do a few clips along the top. And then what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom. And I'm going to match up my notches. Okay. Make sure that it's the right side of the vinyl to the right side of AL to those notches so that you see them down at the bottom. Hopefully you can see them from there. I know they're kind of small. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple on the bottom. And I like to make sure that my top is nice and straight, because if my top's nice and straight, the rest of it, you know, will go where it's supposed to. I am going to have to grab some more clips, because that is not going to be enough. Alright, now what you're going to do is we're going to have to match all this up. And the corners, you just kind of want to take your time. If your waterproof canvas is just slightly smaller than your vinyl, that happens sometimes when you're doing your zippers like that. It's okay. It's going to be covered with our vinyl, it's going to be covered with our binding, so you won't even see that. And then just do your best with this corner. I seem to always have a hard time with it because it doesn't want to just lay right, so I kind of have to move it while I'm sewing. I prefer round corners over sharp right turns any day. Okay, interruptions. My battery died. So here we are. Alright, so we've got everything clipped. Now what I'm going to do is sew all the way around. I like doing it with the sides up top. It's just easier to see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and just sew all the way around. You can do this at a 4 if you'd like. I like doing it at a 4, but it's just up to you. Okay, so this is where it starts to get really thick, because now we have to add our accordion part of our purse. So now I've just went ahead and just basted stitched the outside gusset on. Now we need to go ahead and put one side of our pockets on. So what you're going to do, you do not want it too close to the bottom, because when you're trying to do your binding down here, it makes it really difficult. So I found that the higher up it is, the little easier it is to, one, turn it inside out, two, to be able to do the binding down here on the other side when we get done. So go ahead and measure. Whatever the instructions tell you to do it. I always kind of eyeball it. Like that's 1.5 right there. But make sure that your flap is out of the way. We're going to go ahead and just kind of base stitch this in place. I told you guys, it's getting thick. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to measure over here to make sure that we're even. But whatever the pattern measurements say to do, that's what you need to do. Now you can clip that in place while you're sewing it so you don't get lopsided, if that'll help you hold it in place. I would highly recommend that you backstitch. This particular part of the purse is going to get a lot of wear and tear and pull. When we're trying to turn this thing inside out, it's going to get pulled on a lot. So I would definitely make sure that you backstitch on this. Now comes the fun part, binding. I don't know why everybody's scared of binding, because binding's kind of fun. It's a lot easier to do than trying to turn this sucker inside out with the lining fabric and all of that stuff. So let me grab my binding and I will turn you over to the other camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, let's talk binding. Now with this purse, you want to be able to have something covering up all of these raw edges, because then it won't look very nice on the inside of the purse, and you don't want to see all of that. So you can do one of two things. You can get binding from the store. You can make your own binding. If you're using all cotton material, you probably want to use cotton binding. And what you do is just cut like maybe a 3-inch strip, fold it in half, fold it in on itself, just like we did for the zipper ties. And for this, I found a lady called Mormino. Her name is Lauren, and she makes all kinds of bags. And she uses waterproof canvas as an actual binding, which I have found to be super helpful, because they normally the edges don't fray very much at all. If they do, it's because somebody has like picked at it. It's on the inside of the bag. You're not going to be messing with it too much. So I like to cut out 1.25 inches of that, and then I just do it by the length of my waterproof canvas, which is 56 to 60 inches, somewhere like that. Now I fold it in half and I cut up a little bit and then cut over. And that's going to give you a tip that looks like this, and it's just kind of cutting out some of that bulk, because we're going to fold this over so that you don't see the raw edge. Now you can finger press this, and that's what I normally do when I put it on. You can finger press this closed, you can press it with the iron, but you just want to press it in half. Then you're going to get a lot of clips. I find that I use a lot. And I always start on the bottom. It's just a good habit to have that seam on top of each other at the bottom of your purse so that you're not seeing it. It's kind of in an inconspicuous place. So I'm just going to fold it over my top panel. And then just make sure that you're folding it in the middle, and everything should be covered when we go to sew at 1/4 inch all the way around. All of your raw edges are encased. Just be careful as you go around those round corners. Round corners are not my favorite when I do binding, but it is what it is. And you just go all the way around. Make sure you use plenty of clips. You don't want this sliding out of the way. I like to come up at the top and then come back and do my corners. she's all clipped up. Now, I'm going to take you to the sewing machine and I'm going to try and get a better angle for you so that you can see how I'm turning this bag as I'm sewing it, because now I've got to sew it like this with this side up. I think it's just, I found that that's the easiest way to do it. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to rock it this way while you're sewing down this side, and then rock it that way when you're sewing it on that, when you're turning it around, and you're going to have to rock it back over there. It's just, it's really, really tight. So, I mean, it won't even flatten out. So you're just going to have to be patient. And once this is done, you're almost done with your bag. So just have a little bit of patience. We're almost there. Alright, so we're going to try this angle to show you exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully this will work out. It's kind of hard for me to see. Alright, so I've got my stitch length to a 4. I'm going to sew all the way around. Just take your time. When you want to adjust stuff on your sewing machine and you're in the middle of sewing, make sure that you have your needle down. If you have your needle up, your piece would probably move around, and you don't want to have that happen. Okay, so here's where it gets a little sketchy, and you need to make sure that your needle's down. We've got all of this in the way. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to push it out of the way, and that's why you don't want these any lower than they already are. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So you don't want these any lower than they already are, because then they will be in the way. So we're just going to push all of this out of the way, and remember to get our clips out of the way. You're just going to have to push it. Take your time. We're at the end stretch. You don't want to mess around and end up sewing it wrong. Just take your time. The bottom is going to be the hardest part. The top will be nice and easy for you. Squeeze. Alright, again, even if you're sewing with regular cotton, sew slow right here because it's going to be thick. Now, we're going to have to push the top out of the way just like we did the bottom, but there's not quite as much bulk at the top. Oops. I like to send clips flying, but that's just me. And you're just going to have to stop, put that needle down, and adjust some stuff. Okay, we did it. Woo! I don't have a job, but I was holding my breath a little bit on that one. Woo! Alright, so I'm going to clean up these threads. And then the next thing that I would normally do is you're going to open up your bag. And what I really like to do, because sometimes stuff just doesn't catch, I like to go around the very top of my bag and make sure that all the seams towards the top look really good. So if you got the double zippers, go ahead and open them up as far as you can. And I think I'm going to take you to the other camera, but I would normally just go ahead and just look along these edges and make sure everything gets caught. Because once you turn it inside out, it is a butt and a half to turn back out. So just make sure that your top looks really good. Sometimes stuff doesn't catch and you might see some of like your basting threads or something right here. Just go through and make sure that your top looks before you go ahead to the next step. Okay, you're done. There's your purse. Oh, if only I wasn't kidding. Okay, now I have found that turning this bag is like you need some serious muscles. And I feel like I've got some serious guns on me. Unfortunately, they're not the kind of like muscly guns that I need to look like fit. But anyway, okay, we're going to turn this inside out. Whew, Lord Jesus help us. Okay, so what I found to work best is to make a fist on the inside of my bag. Put it all the way towards the bottom. Then I'm going to take this hand and push as much as I can. Push, 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 push. Almost like you're pushing a baby. Now, you got a little bit of it going. Go on the other corner and do the same thing. You're going to push, 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 push. Now, I'm not going to lie. This is like legit. Once you turn this thing inside out, you're not going to want to turn it back. Because it is that tight. Put your hand in the middle of the bag. Pull the outside. It's doable, I promise. It just takes some muscle, some patience. Be careful when you're turning to where your zippers are. You do not want to rip your zippers out. So I stay in the middle of the bag and just kind of put my fist in there like so. And we are almost turned all the way inside out. Whew. I'm telling you guys, that alone should give you some muscles, because whew. All right, now you're going to want to go to your corners. Okay, and go on the other side. And get your corners. Holy cow. Okay. Whew. Can I get some chocolate? My goodness. Okay. Woo! All right, we're turned inside out. Praise God. All right. All right, next thing's next. Here's what we're gonna do. I learned this trick from watching someone, and double checking everything. What I ended up getting was I have these clips, and when you're doing vinyl, you can't put any clips on this vinyl or it's going to show up like a sore thumb. So what I got was some of these, just the one-sided, like it's one-sided interfacing, and it's kind of like the thicker stuff. You take this and these big like Office Max clips, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand and you're going to push the bottom up and kind of roll them with, like you would a seam. Put this on here like this, and then clip it, and do the same thing to the other side. You want this to stay like it's supposed to, like you want it to look really nice. You don't want to leave them on there too long, but just a short bit of time will do the trick. I normally put the big ones on the bottom and the sides because those are normally like your thickest parts. And then on the top, I'll just put a small one or two small ones. And it's not that big a deal. But you'll want to do this to both sides so that both sides are out and sticking out like they're supposed to. And I would leave that for a short minute and then come back to it. While this one is sitting, I'm going to grab my rivet press and show you guys how to do your strap. Alright, so I've got our strap, and I have got these hooks that I bought from Mormino. They are great because they're, I think they're wide, I want to say wide mouth, and they are really great when you're using vinyl straps because they're a lot wider than your regular straps, or they're a lot wider than your regular hardware. And I find that the straps move a lot more freely with them. So I'm going to mark where I want my rivets to go. As you can see right behind you, I've got my cam snap all ready to go. I like to make 2 just because I want it to be, I want to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Hopefully you can see it. I don't want this popping off on somebody, so I'll go ahead and I put 2 rivets in it. And my rivet press comes with a hole punch, which is awesome, because I know a lot of people do it by hand and it hurts, and yeah, I already have enough hand issues from years of sewing. It's thick. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I put my first rivet in so it doesn't pop open on me. There we go. And grab my second rivet. Now, if you don't have a rivet press, there are plenty of hand ones that you can get that will work just fine for what you need. Okay, so we've got our strap with our rivets looking at us. Follow it all the way down until you get to the top, and then put your lobster claw clasps on there, like so. Then you're going to bring it back up through on the right side, back down on the left side. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's hard to see what I'm doing right now. And then you're going to grab another lobster claw, put it on, and make sure that it's facing, hopefully you can see the whole thing. This is the back side of the thing. You want it on the right side. There are plenty of tutorials out there if you want to make an adjustable strap. I know that wasn't like super detailed and all, but after you do like 5 billion of them, you kind of just whip them out real fast without thinking about it. Alright, so I've got my 2 holes there. And then you've got your last 2. Now, I've got to put my rivet press dies in. I got mine from Cam Snaps. Cam Snaps is a great place to buy your riveting needs from because they have the best customer service. They are a little pricey, but let me tell you the way my husband tells me. You get what you pay for. If you buy a cheap press, chances are it's going to do cheap work. I believe back when I bought it, it was $70, which, yeah, is a lot. But if you were to pick this sucker up, you'd understand why. It's all metal, and it is going to last me forever. And as many rivets as I've put on things, my hands would be hurting so bad if I used a hand press. So now it's all riveted. The strap is all ready to go. Let's check on the front of our bag. Alright, so let's take these clips off and see how we did. And I want to show you the difference between the front and the back when doing this. It doesn't look as bubbly. Let me show you the other side. You see how kind of bubbly it is? And this side, it looks more crisp and firm. So I would highly recommend that you do that to your bags just so that they look a little nicer. I'm going to have to go through and pick out some threads. But they look a lot nicer when you just take those few extra steps to make it look really nice. So that's it. Okay, what did you guys think? I know it's a lot. I thought maybe I was going to have to put it into 2 videos. I wasn't entirely sure. But it's a lot in a bag. However, once you make one, the next couple will be, they're so quick. Like I said, I've popped out like 10 of these things because I've made so many. Everybody loves them, and I've got the pattern down now. Did any of the quicker sewing tips, doing all of the zipper pockets at one time, doing all of the like prep work together, did that help you get through it any faster? Was that helpful? Was it not helpful? I do have more questions What about the camera angles? We have a new camera system. Yeah, you can see it. I'm trying to get some overhead shots for you guys so that you can see things a little better. Let me know in the comment section if they were helpful, if they weren't helpful. I just really wasn't sure. I was trying to just get better angles for you guys so you can see what I'm doing because this bag was so intense. I wanted you to be able to see everything. So what did you think? If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, or if you want to subscribe and hang around for some of the new fun stuff that we're doing, you can hit the subscribe button or the bell button and YouTube will let you know when I'm next uploaded. Or do you have any comments, questions, things that you weren't quite sure about? You can message me or one of the 4 Girls designers. I know Patty has been awesome about this pattern. Every time I've had a question, she's just been like, okay, well, you just do it this way or that way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining us again on Faith Works Design. Bye, guys.